Hello, High School for Global Citizenship. My name is Juanita King, and I thank you so much for requesting a Phase 1 E-interview with me. You're definitely at the top of my list. You're definitely the first resume I handed out. In person, too. I was like, I'm going to make sure I show up in person at this place. So let me get right into it. I'm going to read the response that I wrote out, and then I'm going to give myself maybe like 30 seconds to kind of say anything additional. I just didn't want to be rambling forever alone on a recording. So to tell you about myself, I am a multi-passionate educator with a background in arts, wellness, and student-centered instruction. I actually started my whole teaching career from Alvin Ailey, the dance school. Started doing yoga after a dance injury. Somebody told me or asked me to do yoga, and then started teaching yoga, got my certification, and when the pandemic hit, I started actually subbing. And since the path led to possibly getting a full-time teacher career, that's what brings me here to teaching fellows. So I'm a multi-passionate educator with a background in the arts, wellness, and student-centered instruction. I've always been drawn to spaces where each child's uniqueness is seen as a strength. What inspires me most about special education is the opportunity to build trust, adapt creatively, and co-create, which is very important to me, co-create learning moments that feel empowering to students who are often underestimated. That personally touches, my personal story. I'm especially passionate about supporting the emotional well-being and voice of my students while ensuring they have rigorous and joyful access to learning. So I think that that's very important, because if it was not for a teacher seeing my uniqueness, seeing my strengths, and actually expressing that to me, I honestly don't know where I would be. I would be believing or hearing only what I've been told at home. And I think that it's important for teachers to really realize that home and school create different environments, and we really need to try our best to really expose our kids to different environments and really trying to constantly remind them that home is not like school. And that's just hopefully the start of understanding that there's a whole new world out there that's limitless. The next question, describe your process and approach to lesson planning. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have never written an IEP on my own. I've only read them so far. However, based on what I know, I begin with the end in mind. So I personally like to create a syllabus. I don't care if it's kindergarten or preschool. I'm going to make it age appropriate, and I'm going to have everything lined up so I know what we're doing and what we're working towards, and especially the kids understand what we're working towards. So I like to have the end in mind so we can work backwards and add things in. I like to align lessons to IEP goals, grade level standards, and real world relevance. I think that's also very important, because oftentimes we don't realize how real world relevance actually 1000% affects all of the other things. It affects if they're hitting learning targets or if they're meeting the goals of their IEP. So I think real world relevance is important. I use backwards planning, and I make sure to differentiate early. I consider sensory needs, processing styles, language supports, and pacing. So one of my other things that I like to say is we have to know how to speak other people's languages. So I express myself in a very particular way, which is unique to myself, and that's a skill. And then another skill is understanding others in their unique expression. And so I find that to be very important. Once I have my learning target, and once I know exactly what we need to work towards with IEP included, I can scaffold my behind off. Check-in points goes without saying, and really engaging entry points. I think that's important too, to get a child confident in themselves at the entry point so that they can at least build the stamina, or try to start building the brain stamina that they need to continue on. I also build in moments for student voice, collaboration, and reflection, which deepens both comprehension and ownership. Question number 3, because they didn't really give me any time to do this interview. How do you monitor and assess your students' progress? I use a blend of formal data and informal observations, from work samples and exit tickets to checklists aligned with IEP goals. I keep running records, track growth over time, and document qualitative changes like increased confidence and independence. I'm also very, very intentional about student self-assessment. I think that is very crucial in order to build resilience, to build a whole student. I think it's very crucial to at least get kids in the habit of self-assessing, and of course still monitoring, self-talk and things of that sort. Because oftentimes where the bigger program always has negative self-talk embedded within us, so that's something that I look forward to. So, excuse me. I'm also very intentional about student self-assessment, as it fosters metacognition and pride. I'll also assess. Excuse me. As I foster. I'm getting tongue-tied. I apologize. I'm also intentional about student self-assessment, as it fosters metacognition and pride. All assessments inform my next steps and help me communicate clearly with family and related service providers. So with all of those different things, what I see how their confidence is growing. Sometimes it takes growing a kid's confidence first, and I personally, I'm big on imagination, so I'll always be trying to have kids imagine things, because I feel like if a child can't imagine that what they want to be when they grow up, that's an assessment in itself. That means that they're only in survival mode. That means that they're being an adult already, and they're only focused on surviving that day till they can't even imagine tomorrow. They can't even create goals for themselves. So I also think that assessing that metacognition, that self-talk, the imagination, trying to get them, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Trying to get them to see into the future. I think that all creates a beautiful, a Ouroboros, or a beautiful weaving figure 8 of energy for them. Question 4. How do you build community in the classroom and beyond? I'm going to try to stick to just reading this. I refuse to go off. So community starts with belonging. I begin every year and day with practices that affirm identity, celebrate differences, and foster collaboration. I use morning meetings, partner activities, and social emotional learning to strengthen peer connection. Beyond the classroom, I love organizing family communication that is warm and culturally responsive, and I collaborate across departments to support inclusion and joyful school culture. I've worked in charter schools as well, and I mean, there's nothing better than helping the parents, or just communicating with the parents, and just getting a holistic environment to support, or to all really work together. I mean, there's nothing like community. And I wanted to say something else. Belonging. One thing with community as well that I try to make sure is that individuality. I don't have something that you have, but I still need that thing that you have. And then I have something that you don't have, and you need what I have. So I really try to create that everyone is unique. Therefore, I might not address everyone exactly the same. That doesn't mean that I don't like you, or I'm meaner to you, or something of the sort. It just means that I am paying close enough attention to understand what our relationship is. And not only that, what's more important is what you're capable of. And so I'm going to push you in that direction. And I think it's important. I'm definitely going off on a tangent. And I think that it's definitely important to articulate to kids. You know, oftentimes people are just hard on you because they see what you can be, because we see where you can go. And it's not for you to look at anyone else. This is your path and your path alone that you're going to be co-creating with the universe. So went off on a little tangent there. As you can see, I can kind of talk about this forever. I'm going to try not to. Number 5, describe any specific contributions you have made to the life of the school communities you've worked in beyond your teaching responsibilities. So I've led wellness workshops. That's how I got here. I've led wellness workshops for staff. I would honestly like to do a lot more stuff for staff, because I feel like the big babies, as I like to call them, they need a lot, especially us teachers need a lot. So I've done workshops for staff. I've coordinated calming corners in classrooms and supported family engagement events. I've also contributed through my background in arts and mindfulness, offering yoga, music. So one of my other jobs was I'm a ukulele playing, singing yoga instructor, and I did that just to push myself, because singing for me, I feel like Ariel, like I can't sing. So offering yoga, music, and visual supports that enrich the school culture. I also want to say that I like to show how school is not just this like just this flat thing. I like to tell kids, school helps you learn how to get up on time, how to get someplace, how to complete things on time, how to work with others. It's most important, school teaches you how to learn. And I think that is also very valuable in the school. And my last line, so the last thing I said was, I've also contributed through my background in arts and mindfulness, offering yoga, music, and visual supports that enrich school culture. And my last line, whether through staff collaboration, hallway bulletin boards, or even just creative programming, which I love to creatively program, I try to be someone who uplifts both students and colleagues, because once again, it's always going to be a group effort. The butterfly effect is real, coming from a holistic standpoint, and everybody is important. I hope I answered all those questions. I hope I get my second round. One thing, they will not let me interview between the time of 8 tomorrow and 4 p.m. Like, I could get kicked out the program if I skip that, even if it's for an interview, unfortunately. So I hope to hear from you soon, or I hope we can work out a contingency plan. It was nice. Hopefully it was nice for you to meet me. I'm still very, very nervous, and have a great day. Thank you so much again for responding.